Clown in a Cornfield is a unique experience, but the storyline is what really makes this movie stand out. When you look at movies that are built in the horror movie category, especially following a very poor 2024, hopefully this year turns out to be better. And this is one of those movies where you may not get as gory. Well, let me rephrase that. You may not have the true horror that you may want. You are going to have the gore throughout this film. Now, as you sit back and watch this film, it is really centered around a doctor and his daughter Quinn who moved to a small town called Kettle Springs, and you soon find out why they do so. But in the time that they move, this is when chaos begins. And so as you watch this movie, I really think the director did a really good job of portraying it as a naive teen film. And what I mean by that is you are really looking at this from a perspective of a teenager. And so that really sets this movie apart. Really the actions that they are doing, what they are trying to really accomplish at the end of the day is really based on a teenage brain. But in the meantime, chaos has already broken out. This once thriving town of a corn syrup factory has now been burnt. And there's a lot of rumors, as there are in small towns, about what ultimately has happened. And so the movie begins. And when you are watching this, as I said, there's not necessarily a horror factor that is there, but the gore in this was done well. Is it a Terrifier 3 level? Absolutely not. But it is done in a way that gets the point across of what is going on. Now, the title, in my mind, is a little misleading, and I am not going to spoil that in any way. There are clowns, but it is not necessarily one thing. And I think that is why I like the way that this movie goes on, is because even though the title suggests that it's going to be one factor within this movie, you kind of see where the director goes. Now, with Shudder, I really am a fan of Shudder movies. I think Shudder movies do a great job of giving you a good storyline. And I think the storyline in this really stands out because it's easy to follow. In many horror movies, they tend to go away from what the basis of the film is. And I don't think you have that here. I also think with the characters, you're really getting the ability to focus on each individual character's personality. And that gives you a chance to really see who you like or who you do not like. Now, the one con I will say that really kind of threw me for a loop is this is based on a small town. And it gives you the feel, and it is evident within the film, based on the film, Founders Day. And it's not, they don't follow each other, but there are many situations within this film where you kind of relive that movie. Now, if you have not seen Founders Day came out last year, and it was following an election in a small town when chaos begins. And so, even though that is not a main premise of this movie, the phrase and really the theme of Founders Day is there. But what you really see in this movie, and I think a lot of people may enjoy, but some will not, is really the changing of the time. I think this whole situation around Quinn and her father moving in, you have Cole and his dad, who basically is the founder or not the founder, but the heir to this corporation. The Cole wants change. The dad wants to relive the times. And you ultimately see where that ends up. And so while in Clown in a Cornfield, you're not going to have a true horror from a perspective. You're going to have a storyline where the gore that comes in is worth the watch. Now, if you are afraid of clowns, this is a movie where you may feel the horror that is there. You may feel scared, but it is not one of those where you're feeling on edge all the time. And I think for this movie in particular, it works. And I really wouldn't say that through some other movies, but I think when you're looking at the situations that the kids are put in, the dad is put in, and you ultimately have the random comedic timing aspect to it, it makes it worthwhile. So for me, Clown in a Cornfield is a 3.5 out of 5. It is a movie I will gladly watch again. It is a movie that I think if you are a fan of gore, and even, yes, I said it's not as fitting in the horror movie category, but if you are a fan of movies like that, you will enjoy. But Clown in a Cornfield is out now. Unfortunately, it looks like it may be one of those movies that does not stick around long, but it is a movie that I would recommend if you are a fan of this type of movie, or you just are looking for a movie to see this weekend. But Clown in a Cornfield, for me, 3.5, 3.6 out of 5. It is worth the watch. It is a fun movie, a lot better than I expected it to be. So the reviews so far have been positive, some negative as always, but for me, there's not necessarily a whole lot to critique. I think the hour and a half, I enjoyed what I was seeing on the screen. The story was excellent, so go see it. So make sure to hit the subscribe button and check out the other reviews I have posted. Thank you all for the continued support. Stay tuned. We have a couple reviews that will be coming out. Fight or Flight review is out now. That was Regal's Mystery Movie Monday this past week. Make sure to go check that out. Stay tuned for more, and I will talk to you all later.